Howdy, howdy, howdy. Zach Scott here with a quick particle tutorial. Today I'm going to be going over a moving grass or wheat tutorial. I have an example of it here in this video that I'll just queue up. You might have seen this on my channel. But the particle we're going to be looking at is this kind of soft moving wheat down here at the bottom. Just drifts back and forth lazily. I have another particle that's throwing off these cool little motes of dust and other stuff, but I'm not going to talk about that. Just the wheat today. So I've got two videos posted on my YouTube channel if you want to check out wheat and a big ball of grass. It's a pretty cool little effect here. I'm going to be previewing it without lighting turned on because, quite frankly, when you light this many wheat models, it slows down performance tremendously. But you can see the kind of grass moving around here. If I just jump into work camera, you can see it moving better. You'll also see that right now it's pretty sparse. That's because just in this project I turned down the amount of wheat temporarily because, again, too much wheat will cause things to lag. Also, quick note, this doesn't have to be about wheat. You can make this type of particle with any model you want. But yeah, so I'm just going to get started. I have my grass particles here. It's just a particle system that I made myself. In a previous tutorial, I mentioned that instancing particles is the way to go. I'm going to revise that statement by saying that instancing particles is the way to learn how to use particles, but once you feel comfortable with tweaking the modifiers, you should definitely jump into the official, proper particle editor, because there are a few important differences, which I won't necessarily get into now, but hopefully at a later date I'll cover advanced particles. But yeah, getting back on topic here, you can see I've got my wheat. It's just kind of going back and forth here. I can do a couple of neat things like crank up the amount of wheat. Right now it's 100 wheat models. Let's just make it 600. So you can see how you can really easily just tweak the thickness and density of this sort of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to rebuild this whole particle from scratch here. So let me just reset this, and I'm going to create a new wheat demonstration. And so this will be my new wheat. So, all right, we have an empty particle. So cool. We want this to be, the wheat that I was using before is a wheat model. So I'm going to go into the renderer and create a new renderer, which will tell it to use render models. So I drop this in, and this basically just lets you specify a model as the thing being created here. So I'm going to open up the sequence 0 model entry, which is basically where you choose what model you want within the model renderer. I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to look for wheat. Actually, I'm going to look for grass, and I'm going to find it in Team Fortress. So, a quick note with the modeled selector and the texture selector for the particle system. I found that if you use your mouse wheel to scroll around in this window, you can sometimes break it and have to shut down SFM just because the window closes but you don't get your mouse back. So whenever you're in this window, try and use the up and down arrow keys to navigate. But anyway, I'm looking for this exact bit of wheat, actually, or grass, or that one, I guess. I could use either one. I'll use this one. So I just dropped that in, but yet we still have no wheat showing up. That's for one main reason, which is we're not telling it to emit. So I'm going to go into my emitter, and I'm going to give this an emit instantaneous, and now it is emitting 1 wheat. Actually, it's emitting 100 wheat in one spot. That's cool. You'll notice the wheat is sideways, so in order to fix that, I'm going to go into the properties, and I'm going to tell this model to use a different normal. So instead of being instead of using 001, I'm going to use 010. Whoops, that's upside down, so I'm going to use 0-10. There we go. Now we have wheat, which sticks up in the right direction. Awesome. It's a little big, so I'm going to shrink it. I'm going to go into the initializer, or yes, the initializer, and I'm going to add a scale random, or radius random rather. Radius being the part that controls the size of your particles. So I don't want these all to be exactly the same size, so I'm going to give these a range at which they can be. So I'm going to make this 0.7 all the way down to 0.5 45. Cool. It makes a really neat effect when they're all stacked on top of each other as they just kind of pile up. But we obviously don't want these all to be in one spot either, so I'm going to, whoops. Yeah, I'm going to go and make these appear in an area. So under my initializer, because this is an initializer that I'm looking for, I'm going to add a position on model, position on box, wait, where the hell is it? Position within box random. Yes, this guy. So this basically just lets me specify a boundary within which these particles will emit. So if you go up here, there's the max and the minimum. So it's a random location. So if I go, let's say 100, you will see that they are now all extending 100 units out in that direction. If I make that 100, 100, now it's creating a box. I can even make it go up, but we don't want to do that, but that's basically what it would look like. So I have a cube of wheat, but again, we don't want these to go up, we just want these to be flat on the ground, so make that 0. And I'm also going to give it minimum ranges in the opposite direction, so -100, -100, 0. So now we have a box of wheat 200 units wide. Cool. So, like, that's a pretty good setup already in terms of just getting the basics down here. But we want to get some movement on these, and if you just give me a second, I'm going to actually give these... Oh no, what have I done? Oh, I crashed Source Filmmaker. Balls. Hang on, I'm going to rebuild all that work now, so I'll pause this. Yeah, I fixed it. All right, so moving on, just to be sure I'm still recording here. I've rebuilt this particle, so again, this is the grass we were looking at, and I think I was talking about movement. So let's get some movement on this. I'm going to start by adding a simple force generator. So force generators, quite obviously, create force. I'm going to put a random force on these guys. So it's again just specifying random forces to add to it in X, Y, and Z coordinates. So I want these to move left and right, and maybe forward and backwards a little bit, but not up and down, or if up and down, just a tiny amount. So I'm going to make this 30, 50, and 10, and then with a minimum of -30, -60, and -10. And you'll notice that despite me adding this force here, our wheat is not moving. This is because in order for something to move, you have to give it a movement basic operator. So I'm going to go into the operators, and I'm going to add movement basic. There we go, and now they are moving. We can do some other cool things within movement basic. You'll see they are now not just moving, but escaping. I should probably do something about that. One thing we can do in here is we can set drag for particles. So I can give these a drag of 1, and now they're so stuck that they can barely move at all. Normally I find a drag of 0.2 is okay. Actually for these, maybe 0.1. I'm going to make 0.15. Because these can move forward and backward, but I'm going to add some more movement on them too. This is also where you would add gravity, so I can give these a gravity of 100, for example, and they'll start to fly up. I can give them a gravity of -100. They can start to fly down. I haven't completely confirmed, but I suspect that these numbers are in meters. So 100, a number of 100 would be it's moving 100 centimeters per second, or 1 meter per second. So I believe if that's the case, if you wanted something to fall at the speed of gravity, you would do -980. And that looks about right. So that should be that. But yeah, basically, if your thing's not moving and you want it to move, make sure it has a movement basic on it. So yep, that. So these are kind of moving back and forth. I want to add a little bit of turbulent force as well, just to kind of flip them around a little bit more. I'm just going to remove any verticality out of these. 0, 0, 0, 0. 1, 1, 1. I'm not 100% sure what all of the functions in the turbulent force do, so I'm just using numbers that I like out of experimentation. So this is cool, but it still doesn't quite look like that wheat from our video before. So we need to put a little bit of rotation on it as well. This is a much trickier proposal. I've still been looking for better ways to do rotation. The one way I've found so far is by using a rotating or a randomized vector. No, an oscillating. Random oscillator. Oscillate vector. Oscillate vector. Yeah, by using a vector oscillator. Pretty much all I'm telling it to do is oscillate the normal of these. So once I've got it all hooked up, it should move back and forth a little bit. Offset? No. Yeah, this is tricky. The way I did this was all with trial and error. Hey, there we go. I got a little bit of moving it back and forth there. You'll notice they stop immediately. This thing seems to just run out of steam eventually, so you just got to give it a long lifespan of, like, let's say 40 seconds here. So now they'll keep jiggling for 40 seconds and then eventually stop. If your shot's longer than 40 seconds, you can just crank that number up. They're all jiggling in sync, so we can tweak that by throwing a little bit of randomness in here. I think if I make this 0.7, yeah, so now you'll see they're moving a lot. Well, they're moving out of sync now, which gives us a nice kind of random feel. They could be slowed down a bit. I think I can do 0.2. Whoa, man, that's crazy. 1. Yeah, so you can jump in here and tweak these numbers. You can probably find better numbers than I have found. Frankly, I'm going to be improving my particle throughout the movie making process, so I'm still going to be iterating on this. What you saw wasn't even the final effect. Yeah, that's pretty much a quick little run through of what we can do with render models. As you can see, there's a lot of really neat things in here. Like, for example, let's say I had this grass and I wanted to make it so that anywhere this grass appeared, I have this other kind of grass. Where is it? Where's my flat green grass? Green grass, green grass, green grass. Oh, it's all gone. I wonder if it didn't save. Oh, it didn't save. I had another kind of grass in here that I wanted to show you guys, but I think it didn't save. That's a bummer. I have a various number of these. Yeah, I guess that's a good place to leave it. That's how the wheat works. Check it out. Jump in there. See what you want to do. Oh, don't look at that. I would really recommend you jump in here, figure out new things, come back and tell me how they work. Because there's a lot of untapped potential here in the particle editor, as I think I've shown. And we can really make some beautiful things, even with fairly basic techniques. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video.